Hello and welcome everyone to this, I think this is third video of system design round. Today will be, let me share my screen first. We'll be discussing about the system design of, okay, okay, I'll close my WhatsApp chat. Okay. Okay, so we'll discuss about the system design of any Facebook or Twitter or any social media website feed. It's common for every social media. Now, I've opened my Facebook, so in the social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, you will have a list of posts, right? And the individual post who have created this post, and if you are, if there is no activity in your post in your page, then it will add a refresh button after some time if you are not active. If you click on the refresh button, you'll see the list of posts again. Okay, that is the kind of architecture of what of every social media website that I can think of, right? Okay, so let's go to, I've made some notes over here to understand about the function non-functional requirement of a news feed media feed. Okay, now for Facebook or Twitter, what are the different functional components, functional requirements will be? Okay, functional requirement, I'll just brief it out. What is functional requirement? Functional requirement is what you see. Okay, now let's go to these Facebook site or Twitter site. What do you see here? We see a list of posts basically. Okay, this is a list of posts. That is one thing we see. Then we see an individual post. Okay, we see a comment section. Okay, that's a functional requirement. We see different images or videos. That means we need a image player. So functional requirement is basically what we see. A non-functional requirement is how to create those functional requirement to, for example, to generate this particular post component. What do you need? The no, non-functional part of it. Okay, so that is the non-functional part. Okay, now okay. So what are the different functional requirements? Like I said, one is create and publish the post. I can create the post, I can publish the post, right? And in that, we can have a text-based post. Let me stop share one. Now share again. Let me share my screen one more time. Okay, so like I was saying, on functional requirements, we can create and publish a post. Okay, which can be a text-based post or image-based post, right? We can tag people, we can add hashtags. Then the second is this is one of the functional requirement. We'll divide a functional requirement into multiple parts. So basically, what it is saying is that I can just write a post over here, right? I can create a post which can be, I can add images, I can add text, I can tag someone, I can tag my location. Okay, that is one kind of post. And next will be, okay, let me go to the, okay, next is like, comment, reaction, and sharing, right? So because why it's a separate functional requirement? Because it has to be different, it has to be a different component altogether, because there are a lot of things that is there over here. One is we can comment with tagging someone, we can share, we can like, comment, hashtags also we can add. That means this portion can be a separate functionality altogether. So creating the post can be a functionality, and commenting, liking, sharing can be one more functionality. Okay, and then is obviously browsing the page is a functionality. Okay, these are the examples of three functional requirements that we have, basic minimum requirement. Okay, now to achieve these functional requirements, what we need, is we have to either these are the different non-functional requirements, technical requirements we can say. I mean, so one is device support, where we are seeing these Facebook or Twitter, where we are seeing based on that internet connectivity that place, we have to do our component structuring and all those things, writing better code. All those things dependent on what the device, what is the network coverage over there, right? Those things we have to consider while creating these functionality. Basically, that is one thing. Second is optimization. Yeah, how well optimizing we are code. And there are a lot of different optimizing techniques in React and Angular in any other site, right? Any other library or that we have to follow. Third is the SEO. This is also very important based on kind of how we are showing our post to others, to other people, how we are showing. That is also a kind of a non-functional requirement. Then fourth is logging and monitoring. Logging monitoring is how many reach has happened, how many people have liked us, shared, and then commented, and how we have tagged, which hashtags we have used. All these things we can know. Next is security. Obviously security, because Anyone can add, can do XSS attack, any other security, attack. We can do it through when we introduce some script, we can do it, right? So that how we are enabling, how we are basically disabling the security. We are enabling more enhanced security features and disabling all these attacks kind of thing. Then obviously there is the infinite scroll, infinite loading kind of a non-functional requirements. Non-functional requirements are basically technical, okay, which will help us to create the function requirements. Is basically the WYSIWYG editor is like how we are writing our post, and then we are able to edit it, right? So that editable feature is provided by WYSIWYG editor, okay. With a normal div as content editable, you can do it, but obviously in a normal input box or a text area, you can't. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, here if you go to the Facebook and if you are see how it came refresh, if it is stale, that is right. This is how we update the post. So now when I click on refresh, it will show us latest posts. And this is also features. It will now show the latest features over here. Right. Now this video is there. Video is getting run, right. So now this is a separate video. Previewer is there. Like if you hover over this particular image, and then the image gets enhanced, right? You can zoom over the image and all those stuff. So those are the different tools or different libraries that we have to use to create this, right? So this is a ad that is running right now, okay. And I can basically I can edit this particular post. So if I want to create a new post, okay, I can edit this post, right? So in the input, you can input box, you can type it. Okay, you can type it. After creating the post, you can't edit it. That feature will not be there. But here we can edit it. So that's the reason we have to use a WYSIWYG editor for it. Okay, we'll go deep into it later. But rendering approach is how you are rendering it. Like how I showed over here. How you are rendering it is like basically the pagination approach. How you are showing the, whether it's a infinite scroll or loading or a kind of a pagination, proper offset based pagination or cursor based pagination. I'll speak about it, but that is how the non-functional requirements are there. Now this will be given, you have to ask this to your interviewer. Okay, you have to ask this to your interviewer. That is most important. Now, if we go to, okay, the next is the obviously low level design. So if you can go to my previous video and check how in a tree like structure I have showed, right? What are the different, functional requirement, one column, non-functional requirement, one column. Then there will be a LLD discussion also. So the component design approach. So if you take a post kind of a, if you just consider a post, in this post, what is the design of this post, like how you are designing this. So this is the parent component, and that this can be divided into small child component. Like this is a model basically. This model will have this model header is there, then the content is there, and then the footer is there, right? And these content can be divided into a separate component. Like this can be particularly obviously the image can be a separate component, and then the name, and then if you click on public, there will be a lot of stuff over here. This can be a separate component altogether, right? And this can be a separate component altogether. Then this can be a separate component, and this particular reason can be a separate component. That tree like structure you have to create component tree like structure that we obviously create in React. That virtual tree like structure is there, right? DOM tree like structure, you have to create that, right? Okay. Yeah, low level design of the post component. Yeah, okay. Any component, whether it's the feed or of any post component, any component. Okay. Now coming back to the architecture, I've already drawn the diagram, so it will be very easy for us. So for the architecture, let me go to the diagram over here. You see, this is the HLD of Facebook or Xfeed. The architecture goes as like this is the client side, and this is the server side, basically. Okay, so in the client side, there are obviously views, controllers, services, and databases, right? So the views can be what is the viewable components. The viewable components can be a post component, yes. Then the feed, complete feed, the entire feed that you scroll over to see all the posts. That is one more view, right? Then there is a comment section. I'm saying that the comments should be a separate component altogether, right? There is a comment section can be a separate component altogether. I mean, separate views in sense like how you are, different, something different, right? Like post view is different than the feed view, right? Here the post, if I click, so the post UI is different than the feed. So this is the feed, right? This is the feed. So where I'm scrolling, but post I can't scroll, right? So different view is considered as as a different view, right? So the image viewer, when you hover over the image, how the image, okay, let me click on this particular image. When I click on the image, what you so then you see this image is enlarged, then there is a cross icon, then there is something to the image, and this is there, right? So now this is a separate view altogether, okay? And the carousel like structure is there, right? So this is a separate view altogether, right? Okay. Okay. Now this is the views. The controllers is where the logic you're writing the post, how you created the post, how you pass the data in the basically we'll discuss about the data model. What when you create a post, what are the IDs and the names, hashtags, and everything should go in the API call, right? That we'll discuss. But the business logic about it, how you take the data, how are the data model, and then how you process the data. So all this related to basically the business logic and that you write in the while creating the post what you follow, right? For the feed also the business logic is needed, how you are listing down all the posts, what are the different properties of for basically the data model part of it, and then how you are using it and how you are creating it also, right? Then there is the reaction. The reaction is how many likes are there, how many shares, how many comments, who has commented, who has liked it, right? Those information. Then there is a commenting. Okay, these are the different controllers, basically the business logic related to one of the component, maybe one of the post you can take, or maybe this architecture diagram is the feeds entire thing. You can consider the architecture diagram of a single post also you can take it. Okay, but whatever architecture diagram you prepare, this view, controller, database, and services are 100% there in every client architecture. Okay. Now the services will be obviously the post service, anything to do. So you click on the submit button, you pass the data, post call, and you get the data, right? You can edit the also, so that will be a put call. You can in the feed you will be getting all the all the list of posts, so there will be a get call. So all these services calls are there, right? So related to feed, whatever the calls are there, related to reaction, whatever the calls are there, and related to the comment section also, the sharing, also all the calls that is there, the different services will perform this API calls, right? So you keep everything inside over here, okay, in the services section. And the database section, this is the local database that is inside the browser, right? So you can use either IndexDB to share, to keep some, maybe something local, right? You can use local service session service also, but that is not a good approach. So you can, kind of use IndexDB. You can use a service worker for caching the, data in the service layer using the service worker. You can use CDN for asset management to keep the images and all the stuff. And if you want to save the cache the request API responses, then you can use either React Query or Apollo Client or SWR that you can use for local database. Okay. Now after the client architecture is done, when you go to the server architecture, not going too deep, but there is this layer, the API layer is there, right? This is the API layer is there, and then this obviously the API gateway aggregator API gateway is there. In the gateway, you can have a separate controllers like one auth controller, post controller, field controller. So for every services, there can be a separate kind of a controller over here, and this controller will have access to the database, whether it's a relational or non-relational database, you can determine, right? So you can have access to the CDN also for the asset management part. This is the entire architecture of both the client and server architecture of any Facebook or Twitter X feed, right? Now, next, after architecture, I've covered till here, right? Okay. Data model part, for the feeds, what you get, you need a list of posts, right? And inside the post, you can have the post ID, post created by, then the date or time whenever it was created, like those things you can have. And then the resources attached with, whether it's a image or video URL or image URL, all those things, URL will be there. Then what we need, I think that much only. Comments can be a separate call, but I think that much only will be there needed in the poster. Obviously, then there is a pagination. I'll talk about pagination later. But for pagination also, we are having separate call, right? What is the total page size, what is the page number, and what is the current page, whatever that you have to send, right? So I'll talk about it later. Then the post, for the post call, if you're creating a post, right? Well, ID obviously, and then they created time, what time created, updated time, author ID, who has created these, the different reactions or content, whatever media, that is what I'm saying, image URL and video URL, all those things. Metadata, obviously tags, hashtags, all this information will go. Okay. And then there is the user. Obviously, the user will have an ID, because whenever someone comments or likes, now you can see the user's credential whenever you are hovering over it, right? So let me go to the. So now, if you see here, if someone has liked it, you see their name and everything is coming, right? And when I click over this guy, then I can see their names, and then the details about it. When I hover over it, this guy, has, this is his image, and then there is whatever information related to it, right? This also information is extremely important, and then that is also needed, right? Now, so normalization data is important. Here we have linked the different data through IDs of other data. So what it is trying to say is that when we need all this data, right, these data should be linked to each other. So user data should be linked to the post should be linked to the feed. It should be linked, and the linking has to be done through IDs. Okay, because while filtering of data, that is when we are trying to filter it, this linking is extremely important. Okay, I can filter it by writing over here, right? So that is what I'm saying, that linking is extremely important between the IDs. So using the IDs basically. Now, next is the implementation details. So how you are going to implement. So functionally, you have to develop this. Non-functionally, you have considered this architecture diagram you have done, right? Now, this is the architecture we have to follow. This is the way we have to follow. Then comes how you implement it. Right? How you implement it. Now, rendering approach can be whether it's a SSR or a CSR, like it's a server-side rendering or a client-side rendering. So initially, will be server-side rendering, because you can't, obviously whenever you are creating a post, that will be added immediately. That can be a client-side rendering, but whenever you are logging for Facebook or Twitter, or you're opening the page for the first time, then you have to get all the details or data of a previous post, your post or other people post, or okay, any page you have liked or anything, the post related to all those things will be coming from the server only, right? So obviously the servers are rendering initially, and then itself should be a client-side rendering. Now, next is infinite scroll is kind of how you will apply the pagination part. One is the offset based pagination, where you give the size, the page, maybe 20 records per page, right? The page, obviously, what is the page number one, page number. So page number one has 20 records, right? And what is the total number of pages? So total number of pages is extremely important. I mean, 200 pages, 300 pages, whatever, that will be always be fixed. Page number two, size is 20, and total pages is 200 pages, right? Okay. Size is how many records per page, and page is which page number. Okay. And page 1 to 20 records, page 2 21 to 40 records, 20 records per page. Simple. But the problem with this approach is, if new records gets added because of new posts, then the next, okay, what it is trying to say, I'll tell you, summarize it. So what it is saying, that every record is given an ID, right? Every post in the database terms, it's called record. Every record has an ID. Now, if some new, so page number, we are there at page number 221 to 20. 21 20 records will be there, 21 20 posts will be there, 21 to 40 basically posts will be there, or records will be there, right? Now you are idle for some time, and 20 more posts has come for you in your feed. Okay. Now when you suppose you have a normal pagination, like arrow based pagination, like what it is saying, offset based pagination, then you have to click in the next page. What will happen is that you are asking for page number 3, maybe 41 to 60 records you want, but if 20 new records has come altogether, so in that case, what will you get? You will get the previous 21 to 40 only you will get. Why? Because 10 new records have already entered into the database, right? Whenever you are doing API call, you'll get only the latest one, right? So that is the problem with offset based pagination. Okay, in other applications that is okay, but here it will be a problem, right? Now, the problem can be solved by using cursor-based position. Basically, I'll just summarize what I've written over here. Cursor-based position means you will give ID to each, this, and any post you created or a new post come there, that those things are given a temporary IDs, which means that, so suppose, so I'll just read it out. ID is assigned to each record. For every new API call, we pass the previous record's ID, so we know that, okay, basically what it is saying, that we know the previous record's ID. So if you are typing page number 2, 21 to 40, then we know both the page number as well as the ID, previous records ID. So that means through ID we are doing the pagination, not by the page numbers, right? Or the record number, right? That is what one is the beneficial. But when the new post come, there are three ways to handle it. When the page is idle for long, we ask, do you want to refresh the page? Yes, that is what it happens in Facebook. Do you want to refresh the page? It will be a kind of alert coming, or maybe a refresh button will be there, right? And third is auto refresh, or auto refresh will happen, right? Now, next is infinite load. Okay, so this is the pagination part, whether offset based pagination cursor. So cursor is better in this approach in this case over here. Now the infinite load is something like whether scroll event when you reach a particular, okay, that is how. So when you are scrolling below, like so see, infinite scroll is something like I am scrolling. So after I reach at this level, you see it is doing a API call again. So if I reached over this side, so it is saying that if you have reached to a particular height, particular scroll here, it is considering the X and Y position, then it is loading a new set of 2035 records. See, I go over here, then it is doing the API call, getting the values. Okay, so that is what is called infinite scroll or scroll based pagination, also you can tell, or getting the data right, basically simple. Now or intersection observer APIs. Now so what it is, intersection observer API is like what it is saying is, I just minimize, I just summarize it over here. It is saying that you add a non-visible div over here. If we've reached to that particular non-visible div, for example, here it is there at that level, if you have reached, then what it will do is that it will trigger a event, and then maybe the scroll event it will trigger, and then get fetch the new set of 20 records, 30 records, whatever. You see how it refresh came over here, because I was idle for some time, so the refresh came. So when I click on refresh, it will refresh the entire screen again and get me the fresh setup. So that means new records has come, someone has put a new post, new stories, and these are all new kind of new post has come, right? That is how it is happening behind the scenes. Okay. So these are implementations, things that we are studying, and these will be asked by your interviewer. So how will you implement? What is the rendering approach for you are considering? What is the pagination approach that you are considering, right? What is the infinite load kind of experience? How do you give? So this will be asked. I'm giving you knowledge, but these questions will be asked by your interview, basically. Okay. Now, virtualization is less browsing, painting, like showing only minimum post per scroll, because there will be thousands of pages you might have liked, a thousand of people, friends you might have. So everyone might be creating a lot of posts every second, right? But how many you are showing? Less than 5, 10, right? So you are prioritizing or virtualizing what is more priority for you based on your previous search. So that is determined by the algorithm over here, and then it is showing it. Okay. Virtual DOM reconciliation, yes, the virtual DOM reconciliation is also very important, because we have to update the DOM, right, accordingly. How many, so that is the reason very less records only, maybe 10, 20 records only. Light weighted real time, this is what I was saying. This is essentially to make the render heavy, to not make the render heavy, as website will crash. Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Now, simmer or progress bar, you can use SVG to create it like any rounded thing, and then you can create it like how you saw in refresh. You can use keyframes to create a rounding or kind of or you can use the zips also. This is also essential. So 3 ways to create a progress bar or simmer is what we say. Now, preserving the scroll positions is obviously wherever you have scrolled now at the latest, wherever you are there. After some time also you have to be sure. Now I've scrolled till here, right? I have to remember that, okay, at this position, I'm having this particular post. Now, if I go back, I spend some time over here and I come back again, then the same post would appear at the same level. Else I'll become confused where this post went away, right? That is what it is trying to say when I speak about preserving the scrolled position. Now, how to do it? You have to, save the particular, you have to link it, the post with the scroll position. That is also just do a Google search. You have to implement it. Okay. Now, mention hashtags input text area office. That is what I'm saying. Input and text area won't work while creating a post. Div with content editable is true, will work, but not much feature, because when you make a div a content editable, there is a feature for property called content editable. If you make it true, then you can edit the div content. Basically, what it is trying to say is that I just go to this particular post. And if I just so if I can edit the post basically, right? So on the fly I can edit it, right? So if I just click here, here I have not created this post, so I can't edit it. But any post I can edit it, right? So and you can make it editable using this post is not editable, right? When I'm getting a post, let's get a new post. Okay, this post I'm creating, right? So here I can edit this post. So this can be what input box or text area. Now input box or text area can work, but there are a lot of different features that is hashtags. You can't do it with input box or text area, right? And you can't do a you can't tag anyone using an input area or text box, right? For that you have to use the WYSIWYG editor is what I'm saying, or I've spoken previously also. Okay. Now, div with WYSIWYG editor makes the div editable and all any additional features that is. So you can use draft.js. You can just Google search what is draft.js. It gives a lot of features along with the input or text area. It gives a lot of features like bold or color and all those stuff. You can color your text, all these things. Okay. But it's also prone to XSS attacks because if you are adding hashtags means you are creating a link, right? Hashtags is nothing but a link. So if you are creating a link, you're enabling a library to create a link, then it can be hacked and then XSS attack can happen, right? So what you do, you just so generally what right now they are doing in Facebook post creation is they whatever post you are creating now, they are storing the database, and from the database they will read again and try to convert that particular hashtag. Whatever is mentioned as a hashtag will convert to a link. That means you are creating the link internally. You are not allowing the editor to any other external library to create a hashtag for you. That's the benefit. Okay. Okay. So now optimistic update is when we create a post and click submit, the post is immediately available to you. There is no API call involved here. Okay. So what it is trying to say is that I create a post and I click on submit. So it will be immediately updated in my feed, right? Do you think it does the API call get the data immediately and then no, it doesn't do. The API calls are not so fast, right? So what it does is that whatever post you created, it will add to the existing UI in the existing feed. It will give a temporary ID, and then while you are doing something else in the background, what happens is that the API will be done, and all the details will be sent to the server, and in background they'll be refreshing it again later. Same for the likes or comments or shares, same thing, same concept. That is what we call optimistic update. So you have to save these API calls using SWR or React Query or Flow client. You can save the details of the basically caching of the APIs is what I'm talking about using React Query or Flow client. You can do it. Okay. Next is timestamp rendering. Yeah, this is how you write it. Comment 1 minute ago, 10 hours ago, 1 hour ago. How this happened? Because whenever you are creating a comment, any call you are doing, we are adding the timestamp to it when it was created. Based on that, we calculate the time of difference between the current time and the post time, and through that we are doing it. Okay. Now, obviously, the server in the server also you can maintain the time when we are doing the API call and everything. Client is in the client side, how you will maintain the time rendering is using international date time format. So if date time format will be used when people of different time zones are creating a post, and then they are you can manage it through the international date time format. Okay. Relative time rendering is yeah, that is what I was speaking about. Relative time rendering is when we are posted and when we are seeing it. Based on that, the time will be mentioned, right? Now, icon rendering can be done using, you can create the icons using SVG or separate images or font icons or sprite images. You can use any icon, but you can store it in a CDN or any other, repository. Basically, image rendering can be done using CDN, WebP, as I said, DPI or prefetch or low resolution image rendering. Basically, in a CDN, if you keep it, it will be very easily. You can get it like in React, we are having WebP where we can, store the images, but that is also, time consuming and all those things. For bigger application, you can't store images locally. You can use URL, but that will be stored in a database only, right? So those things we can use it. Okay. Now commenting will be so it will we have to obviously use recursion because we have to see how we are reusing our things so that the comments can be created better, right? Cursor based pagination and yeah, this I spoke about. Optimistic, this also spoke about lazy loading, emojis, mentions and tags. So this is how whenever needed, how you are so okay. This is the different implementation detail. There are a lot of implementation details. There are some basic 5-10 implementation details, then the data model, then the API structure. So basically, first they will any task, any system design they will be asking you to do it. First, you have to ask them what is the functional requirement, what is the non-functional requirement. While discussing with the interviewer, to decide. That is first thing. Second, you have to do the architecture diagram. Okay, views, controllers, database, services. There is the client structure, client architecture, and the server side also. You have to do all the controllers and the database. Right, simple. And then you have to think about the LLD. So right, they will ask you to take a simple component and create the diagram how you are thinking about it. That is one. Fourth, then fifth is about the implementation details. How you whatever you have thought about implementing, right, non-functional functional, how you implement it. And for that, you need a lot of technical knowledge, and which you can learn it by yourself, or you have already learned it while using in your organization. Okay, that is the basic way in how you create a HLD diagram, as well as how will you explain it, right? So this is a client server architecture. Okay, hope you like this video, and write in the comment did you like it, and how we can make it better. And I could have created it but I had already created it so that I did not feel, it will be easy to explain, and the video will be small in size. Okay. Okay, hope you like this. And in the next video, I'll be doing something on HLD on some other topic, some maybe Book My Page, or Book My Show, or any other website, or maybe we'll do something on security, or so many different performance, logging, monitoring. So many things are there, right? In the system design round to be discussed. We can do videos on that. Okay. If you like this video, and like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.